We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show. Give them a faith to live by. Worship this week.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the Custom Underground. Exciting because it is the finals. We will see who won and who lost. For the amateurs and the pros, it's very exciting.
Man.
You see, we pulled out all the bells and whistles. because this is very exciting.
What an
Everyone had
insane matchup.
this
Wow.
matchup's really closely scored. So
What an insane matchup, man. Everyone brought it. I'm just transferring some photos over here to the computer. But, like, everyone. So, to bring everyone up to speed, it was Wrestle Kingdom 14 Will Ospreay. And this attire was insane. I had no idea how insane it was, like, right off the bat. But this was Joey's idea. And, man, with the purple, with the oranges and the whites, plus the entrance coat, this figure like tested everyone's abilities. This truly was like a perfect finale figure. And to see 6 versions of the same figure, each have its own unique twist from each individual customizer. Man, that was what we started Custom Underground for. Was that artistry? Was that like pure showing that like every customizer has their own unique style, and everyone really
that's
brought
why
it.
we started in the finals doing this, where everyone would do the same figure, so you could see just exactly how talented each person was and where their strengths were. So, and I think that was a great idea. I don't know who came up with it, but
well, yeah, it was the last year too. We've done it for the finals. It's just something that we haven't done for each round because it was like, well, there's kind of a lack of diversity there. Going forward, that's something that'd be really sweet. But yeah, I mean, it really is the ultimate litmus test, right? Of like everyone works on the same figure, which one is better, and it's gonna be by an nth degree. And like I think I'd speak for all of the judges when I say there's not a bad figure on this panel. All 6 figures are insane. All 6 figures are great, and amateurs included really showed that the level between amateur and really professional isn't that big. It's really blurred, you know what I mean? So what an amazing round.
Yeah, absolutely. I second what you said. All the action figures, the customs were great. Everyone had their own little twist, and it turned out great. I mean, anyone would be proud to own one of the 6 figures. So
yeah, actually, I mean that's the point at the end of the day. We're trying to get a lot of exposure out. Before this tournament, no one knew who Forbidden Figurines was. I mean, not no one. Like, a lot of people did. But I certainly didn't. You know what I mean? And so to see her show up and compete and end up in the finals against BEW, who everyone really at first thought was going to have a walk in the park. But it's a really close match. It's a really close.
Then you add Turbo in there, and
oh man, and Turbo showed up. We thought Turbo was going to be possibly late because of the difference in time zones and not putting out a lot of reminders on our end. But he ended up being the first one to turn in, which was insane. Well, for the pros side, which is amazing to him, and it shows what kind of customizer he is to be able to show up on that level with a little lack of time. So I think my screen should be sharing here. So we're going to go ahead and discuss. Who do we discuss first? Frage? Let's go. Frage's figure here. Man, Frage really showed up with this Will Ospreay. Hopefully that shows up pretty good in the screen.
Looks good on my end.
All right, cool. So let's just talk about, Pat, you want to talk about how you scored this figure?
Well, first of all, when we get further down there, I like it when you send work in progress pictures because that really shows us the level of that you went to, how much work you put into it. So, I mean, you don't get knocked off for not having them, but going that extra mile and taking those pictures really helps. I had Frage at a 47.5. There was a little missing orange parts on the coat, and that was knock. And I'm going to be a Debbie Downer here. I feel the amateurs didn't nail the head. Any of them. I mean, they did. They're not bad heads, but Absolutely. They didn't quite capture the essence. And that's something I think all the judges agreed on. And let me just pull this up here. For Showstopper, it's very similar. Did I say what I scored him at 47.5. Showstopper scored him at 48. Again, he says no one except BW came close to likeness face-wise, hence the 1-point deduction everyone's score. Friday had missing orange parts on the coat above the chest area, and there was some glue visible behind the black fur on the sleeves.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I see what he meant. For Fragile, I actually had 44. So I actually had it. I mean, it is curved for the amateurs, but with the head choice was I second what you said. The head choice just kind of seemed a little off for likeness for me. And then so that was the overall presentation. The jacket, I thought was really well constructed, but I don't know if the materials are exactly as authentic or as like as similar to the end product as I'd like to. When I'm looking at Anonymous's jacket, I'm seeing a lot more details in the jacket. And that is something that I will premise all this with, is that when we're judging, we're able to see two other figures that are directly compared against it. So admittedly, at least for my end, there's a lot of comparing and contrasting. There's a lot of really studying. But yeah, so for
And I'll
Friday,
hit on one thing really quickly.
yeah, go ahead.
When we're judging the amateurs, that 48 for the amateurs isn't the same thing as 48
Right.
for the pros.
Yeah.
So there is a curve on there, just to make that clear for everyone who's saying, oh, wait, that's not BW Zoo, or, that's not Forbidden, or that's not Turbo. Well, because they're not at this stage in their career. So,
well, and absolutely. And so when we're going with when I have those Rockageroni scores up here, you still see the pictures, right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so this is a nice Skype update. I like it. The Friday for Rockageroni, he ended up getting 10s across the board besides likeness. He said sculpting and paintwork is top notch. Skin tone and tights are very clean and smooth, especially considering the base figure was not white except for the knee pads. Loved the sculpting and painting of Tigerhead. The coat would have benefited from adding additional layers rather than painted on borders. Would have given it more depth. Could have chosen a better base for the head. Hard for me to see a resemblance there. But still 49 from Rockageroni, which is an enormous score, nonetheless. Wow. And then with the NWF, he had very close. He had 9 for painting skills and 9 for likeness originality, for a total of 48. And he said, well presented in typical Friday style. Paintwork on the whole is very good, with the colors being a great match to the real thing. Areas of the knee pads could be neatened to be in keeping with the effort displayed on the tights and boots. He likes the sculpted features, including the hair, belt, wristbands, including Rowan's sheep mask as a base for the tiger, is an ingenious move. The scan is a good attempt, but the likeness is not quite there for me. In my opinion, the torso is the closest match out of the 3 competitors in this bracket. The jacket looks great. Adding the pattern detail to the white areas would really take it to the next level. So,
and that's something we all talked about just briefly on the torsos. There's no real perfect Mattel torso.
Yeah.
Either you go a little underjacked or you go a little overjacked, and so it was really kind of hard to find that perfect one without sculpting basically a new torso.
Sorry, I should be changing these pictures more when we're talking through the figures. I'm so busy zooming through the other pictures, but it's such a nice figure. Here, I'll go back to this presentation here. So that's Friday's attempt, and as you can see, just a really clean figure, and the sculpting on the belt and the sculpting as a whole is so crisp. And Friday really puts out really high quality work, and it's hard to see Friday competing as an amateur ever again. So congrats to Friday, at least for this amazing figure. So we're going to go ahead and review Ivy's next. So this one was really exciting too. Every artist actually had their own, well, I said it before, their own take, but there's also like a unique style chosen. And with Ivy's here with the hair, you can really see that he's got a huge attention to detail when it comes to sculpting this hair. I'll just go ahead and go on Rockageroni while I have him up here. And with what Rockageroni said, he said, I like the idea with the hair sculpt, but would have worked better with maybe a screaming scan to give it a more mid-action scan. Having a more stoic Having a more stoic scan makes it look like he styles his hair that way, which would be inaccurate. Orange is another hard color to deal with, but the application was very well done. The white lining around the purple triangles could have been more uniform and thinner, though silver would have been better. Great use of the gems on the coat, only amateur to do so, as well as adding the string to the belt. Wow, so that's huge reviews. 46.5 from Rocket Jabroni. And I'll roll into NWF while I have him up over here. NWF actually gave Ivy's 10 for workmanship, 9 for complexity, 8 for likeness originality, 8 for painting skills, and 10 for overall presentation. Actually, everyone got 10s for overall presentation from NWF. But NWF had to say this about Ivy. Another well-presented piece. Paintwork is good, especially when taking into consideration the complexity of the design. The color palette is on point throughout. There is an area on the boots where the symmetry between right and left shoe is slightly off, and there are white marks on the upper thighs. The textured wrist tape is a nice touch. The jacket is a solid effort, with the tiger being a standout area. The logo on the back of the jacket has been missed, and it would have been nice to see the added detailing, including the white areas. The scan is an alternative take on the Christian hit scan that is often used for Ospreay. It is, however, noticeable that the tone of it does not match the torso. So a total of 45 from the NWF for Ivies. So both of those are just amazing scores. Pat, you want to talk about what you guys had?
All right. So Showstopper said that the size proportion of the coat, particularly the sleeves, was the most off among the three. Had some visible white paint crack on the knee pads. The painting of the purple could have been done better. And he gave Ivy a 47. I gave Ivy a 46 with similar thoughts among what people have said with the jacket. Great thinking outside of the box with the hair. And I know people use this face all the time, but to me, it just says Christian. And, maybe what they previously said with a open mouth, more mid-action.
Yeah, that could always be a good solution. When I made an Osprey, I used the Christian head too, and that it just does miss the mark a little bit, and it is tough, but it's it still is. I think it still has a pretty good. I can see where he was going with this, and I actually like this torso scan the most, or this torso mold the most from Ivy's. I actually had him scoring really high across the board with the workmanship, complexity. Obviously, my scores here are all like collectively lower than your guys's, so it makes me seem bad. But hopefully, it's not. Like I'm just scored that way. But I got a 42 for Ivy's. I really loved everything about it. His creativity, the choices he made. It just came down at the end with there were some other figures there that Frage and Anonymous really showed up, and great figure for Ivy's, taking nothing away. I've became a huge fan of Ivy's throughout this competition, and I think a lot of people have as well. So, man, Ivy should be proud of himself as well. Just an amazing effort.
In fact, there's a lot of amateurs during this competition that even after it's been over, they've shown customs, and I've become a fan of a lot of these amateurs. They've done a really good job, and these three in the finals particularly are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and talk about Anonymous here, what the NWF had to say about it. He said he ended up getting a 45 as well, with 10 for workmanship and 8s in painting skills and likeness and originality, and a 9 in complexity. So the NWF had to say he really liked the jacket on this. The attention to detail is appreciated and makes this stand out in comparison to the other two. Neatening up around the edges of the jacket and consistency with the tone of the orange would make a big difference to the overall effect. The paintwork is good and attention to symmetry is apparent. Similar to the jacket, neatening up on the orange line work on the boots would elevate this even further, pun intended. I like the hair sculpt, and the choice of the base scan is certainly passable. Not a fan of the torso choice, as it is, in my opinion, it's too slight for Ospreay. But yeah, 45 from the NWF. What a great score and a great critique.
Which goes back to what we were saying before. There is no real perfect torso for him, so you have to make decisions of which one you think is better.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yeah, Rocket Jabroni had something similar to say. He said, "Great job on the tight designs. There are some spots where the white could use a few more coats, notably the kick pads. You can tell the time and effort spent on the coat. Really showed me that you went for it. The head still screams Christian to me, so some modification would have helped." But he gave him a 46.5 for Anonymous from Rocket Jabroni. And myself, I gave Anonymous a so we're using half points in case you guys haven't caught on yet. When I was judging Toys of Jericho's Invitational, he used half points, and I'm like, I never even really thought of using that just because I was so dead set when I was rating my score 1 through 10. I didn't think of the points in between. Either way, I got a 45.5. I thought it was a really good attempt. The paint skills, he's come a long way. At the end of the day, he showed up. I thought he won it from the amateur point of view. I have Anonymous in the lead for my personal scores. And a big part was he might have not had the cleanest tights or the cleanest paint job there, but I did think his Christian head resembled Osprey the most, and at least his attempts certainly altered the head enough for me to be like, okay, out of the three, that's the most like Osprey. And the detailing on his jacket, if I go back here, this print inside the white really elevated it to the next level for me. And I think if this was missing, I'd probably have Frage getting one over. But because of this, Anonymous won it for me. So, Pat, you want to talk about your guys's?
Well, you pretty much just summed up everything I had to say. So,
Sorry.
I got him at a 48, Frage at 47.5, and Ivy at 46. So I too had him winning. I thought the details, like you said, within the coat, and I also thought this head most resembled him out of the amateurs. And
so before you go to Joey, that means we have two of the judges for Frage, two of the judges for Anonymous, and so Showstoppers, last judges here.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that phone case.
No pressure. Yeah, look at that. Anyway, okay, so he had Anonymous at 47. He said, had some not so clean orange lining on kick pads. Edges of knee pads could be cleaner. Could have used more finesse on the application of the painted accents and textures on the coat. So that means Frage will be moving on to be the winner.
I was like, moving on. What's he going to say here? But yes, congratulations to Frage. Congratulations to Ivy, Anonymous, and Frage. All of you three. I don't even want to use the word amateurs because you guys have brought so much respect to that term by always showing up, by always handing in the submissions and showing up on time. And this has been the best in terms of turnout for the amateurs that we've had, and competitive wise, I think it's been up there as well too. And just amazing work, all of you guys in the amateur division throughout this whole tournament. But you final three and Frage, last but not least, you really showed that you are now a professional. So I crowned the professional customizer, Sir Frage. But yeah, it's really cool. So let's go on to the pros, right? Right, Pat, do you have some words
where they were when they entered the tournament, and how each challenge they've stepped up a little bit more, and now they're even more amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm really impressed with all the amateurs, and I've seen amateurs that are following along with the tournament and cranking out new content, and they're getting better. It's an exciting time to be a customizer, or in my case, a judge. I love the Custom Underground.
It is such a great. It is a really good time to be able to see what everyone's doing, man. It's just so. It's just so shocking to me to see like the level of skill set of the amateurs. But going on to the pros, this is really where you see the small details start to take shape and really, I think, become the difference. You'll see the differences here, I think, is the best way to say it.
And I'm going to say it to begin with. What we're about to say is going to be very, very, very nitpicky. But when you're at the pro level of the finals, that's the difference. And it's just something very minute that maybe didn't get done, or the judges saw something, and so
Yeah,
so we
no,
apologize in advance for being so picky, but it's because you all three brought it at such a high level that we have to look for small little things that make the difference.
no, you hit it right on the head. This is gonna be a tough one. This is gonna be a close one, and at the end of the day, this is what we gotta say: is that you gotta respect every customizer here on the finals because everyone put a lot of work, a lot of hard work. This is a really tough figure, and no one paid them for it yet. Hopefully they're able to sell it. That was in consideration. We wanted Will Ospreay because people really like him, so that was a factor that we tried to accommodate. But you guys really did well. That being said, the pros, everyone turned out really good. Please don't be upset. This is going to be really tight here. So let's cover Turbo Toys first and foremost, man. Turbo really impressed all of us with showing up as fast as he did. Not that he made he's obviously started, and you can see how clean the line work on the pants is. So he was able to though finish when he thought that might have been questionable because he was waiting on materials. A big thing with the pandemic going on, materials are hard to come by. So, or at least you have to wait a little longer.
Yeah, and it's really crazy with the mail system. I've gotten stuff from the UK faster than I've ever gotten them, and then I've gotten it slower than I've ever gotten it. I mean, you're basically playing Russian roulette when you order something in the mail, or it's going to get there eventually, but it will be sooner or will it be later, and it's
Oh,
crazy
I
time.
believe it. Yeah, I believe it. It's been so. I'll just go ahead and cover NWF first. Turbo Toys, he ended up getting a 10 in overall presentation. I'll just say this. NWF gave everyone here a 10 in overall presentation as well. Turbo Toys got a 9 in painting skills, 9 in likeness originality, 9 in complexity, and 10 in workmanship for a total of 47. NWF had to say, given the circumstances that he found himself in with just over 24 hours before the deadline, it's hard to believe that Turbo was able to achieve what he has with this custom. The combination of paint and decal work on the attire is great as always. The clean look and accuracy of the decals on the boots is particularly effective. The torso works well, and of the three, it's the closest match in my opinion. The black painted areas on the boots could be neater. The title belt is a welcome addition to the piece. As with the attempts of all three competitors, the jacket is a great effort. With more time, it would have been interesting to see what this could have looked like, especially if the pattern had been included on the white areas. Small touches like adding an opening on the elbow pad, slightly longer wrist tape, and the addition of turquoise blue soles to the boots would really enhance the Ospreay feel here. Total of 47, an amazing score. I say that every time, but really, guys, these are amazing scores. I've seen every score that's come through Custom Underground multiple times. These are amazing scores for the finals here.
And absolutely, I just want to reiterate.
Yes.
There was the misunderstanding about time. He had to, do it in a shorter amount of time than he probably would have liked. He was waiting on materials, like you said. They didn't arrive. And I know a lot of customizers couldn't have done what he did in that short amount of time. I mean, it was basically a 48-hour cram session. And I'm so impressed with how the figure turned out, given that circumstance.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Rockajroni gave it very similar scores, an 8 in likeness originality and a 9.5 in workmanship for a total of 45.5, with Rockajroni saying, impressed with the results despite some major time communication issues. Head could be better, but it works. The sizing and placement of some of the decals and designs on the tights are a bit off. Great craftsmanship on the coat. Adding actual small gems would have been a nice touch. Nice addition with the junior heavyweight belt. I appreciate the willingness to give it your best shot instead of just giving up. Wow, yeah.
I reiterate that because we've had people quit at the last second. So, to be able to put in that effort and to go full out on it, that's appreciated by all of us here at the Custom Underground.
Yeah, and, my scores, just to echo what everyone else said, is I gave Turbo 44. I thought he had an amazing attempt. I really liked the parts that he ended up choosing. Similar to NWF said, the soles were an apparent differentiating factor. Yeah, I still really appreciate everything that Turbo did. Like, he showed up amazingly. Like, he really showed up to compete, and he showed up with a great custom. And in any other contest, one-on-one, this could very well be winning because of the logo, the work that he did manage to put in that time. But up against Forbidden and BW, this is a crazy contest. But so impressed, so impressed with Turbo, and super proud of him for being able to show up and even turned in the first entry of the pros. So proud of you, Turbo. Go ahead, Patrick.
I also am very proud of him. I said pretty much everything I think I have to say. But it's such a great figure for what he had and the time available to him. And I'm super impressed. He did a great job. I scored him at 47.5.
Nice.
And Showstopper scored him at 48. So very similar.
Nice.
Turbo said, Showstopper said about Turbo, overall, still a badass piece, but the lack of more time to work on it can be felt, but it does not look rushed by any means.
Yeah,
So.
Absolutely. Wow. And that leads us to the next contender here, Forbidden. And Forbidden's journeys to the finals. Actually, the intro throughout the whole tournament here, showing up with Drago, really set a high standard for herself. And this Osprey, for myself here, I'll just say this before we really get into it. She put in, to me, I feel like, and this is not to insult any of the other customizers at all, but to me, she definitely did the most work, and it is so impressive to see her sculpt a title from scratch herself digitally, and to sculpt two different heads from scratch digitally, in addition to the arm piece for the armor, and it is. The biggest thing that I can say is that Forbidden Figurines is a true artist, and I'm super honored that she's in the finals here. I've got a lot of hits from her. I'm definitely a fan myself of hers. And you
got a cage head, did you?
Yeah, I sure did, man. She killed it for me. I was so excited.
Good.
I mean, she didn't make it for me. She made it, but I'm friends with Cage. I got like some signed Cage Lucha Underground things from my first series, but I've since improved my packaging. But
I've loved seeing her journey from
I digress,
more of the doll world into more of the action figure world, which she said she started getting in on the action figures because her husband messed up all the customs he did, and she had to fix them. So,
and she's so talented, man. And at the end of the day,
you see the work. I mean, just this picture alone. Look at all the things she put into this figure. Like you said, the custom title, the sword, the arm piece, the whole jacket itself. It's a work of art. I mean, it's
a work of art, and it's truly a work of art.
I mean, wow.
And so I guess I'll go with what I'm going to say first.
Brave man.
For me, I'll just have Rocket Jabroni go first.
I figured
right here. Rocket Jabroni ended up giving 10s across the boards, except a 9 in likeness and originality. And Rocket Jabroni went ahead and said, "Phenomenal job on the entrance coat. Best coat overall." I second that. Absolutely. Love the idea with the belt on the tights. The metallic purple paint makes the tights pop even more. What? She told me that was a custom purple, and that purple is phenomenal. I was going to say that too. But this is why I wanted to read Rocket Jabroni's. I don't want to be redundant and just rattle off, struggling for words when they're right in front of me. I think the torso choice wasn't the best, as it makes him look bigger than he is. Also, the head shows good resemblance, but the eyes throw it off a bit for me. Overall, superb job. This was the most complete custom of the group. And so Rocket Jabroni.
And again, not to repeat ourselves, but there is no perfect torso. So either you're going a little under jack or you're going a little over jack.
Very true.
It's very hard to find the perfect torso.
It's really hard to get a 10 in that likeness and originality if you're taking into effect that torso. Because, like you said, for NWF, Forbidden Figurines get 10 overall presentation, like I said, 9.5 in painting skills, 9 in likeness originality, 10 in complexity, and 10 in workmanship for a total of 48.5. He said the overall presentation of the figure is very good. The photo submitted captured a huge array of angles, which is great to see. The paintwork on the attire is extremely well done. Neat lines with the well-matched colors. The jacket is a real triumph. My personal favorite of all the jackets made, that's 3 of us. The addition of the title belt is a nice touch. However, the scale is more in keeping with the heavyweight title. In my opinion, the Austin-style torso is too large for Ospreay. A Mizdow style or early Cesaro Rhodes would be more accurate. The hit scans are painted excellently and shows off Forbidden Figurines' talent with the paintbrush. Second that, absolutely. There is certainly something there with the scans themselves, but the likeness isn't as close as I would expect based on her extremely high standards when creating her 3D renders. The one blemish from the paintwork standpoint is that there is noticeable white paint on the arm inside the elbow pad. That's because that rubber is tough to paint.
Yeah.
But for 48.5 overall from NWF.
And the comment about the belt, again, that's very minute. It's very picky. But at the final stage, those are just the little details that, could make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll go, with a lot of what everyone said here. For me, I will say this. Like, this is the most flawless custom in terms, I think, of execution from the jacket, from the sculpt, from the paintwork, from the shading, the colors, the techniques. Really impressed me every step of the way. There was a few things so that inevitably take it away. While it's the most complete, flawless custom to me, I don't believe it looks like the most like Will Ospreay, and that's really tough because I actually disagree with Rockets Brony. I think the eyes and the brow area is where Forbidden Figurines really does a lot of her best work, and I think that reads a lot like Ospreay. The hair is obviously flawless. The nose and the lips you can still see a lot of, but to me it just seemed like the heads didn't hit the mark for me. They might have looked a little too stylized, which I appreciate as a fan of her work. It just still didn't resemble that Ospreay for me personally. The torso as well, that's a little bit more nitpicky because there's not a perfect one, but the torso for me, I wish it was a little bit leaner. But that being said, all of the positives, man, the paintwork is phenomenal. I really do believe that, and no disrespect to BW or Turbo or anyone, to me, Forbidden Figurines painted the tights the cleanest. She had such crisp line work, and you can tell that she's a perfectionist of sorts. I don't want to label anyone perfectionist if they're not, but because that can be a
she
curse.
Definitely is. You could tell the
but
time
you can
and
tell
effort you put in there.
Yeah, the meticulous detail is just mind blowing. It's amazing to look at her work. The scaling of the kick pads, the knee pads, all of it is perfect, and she's adapted the design of the tights to the figure form. And I think it might be Joey that said something about the waistband, or Rocket Bro, I can't remember, but I actually like the waistband going up ahead of it, and the rope inside the laces. And then the last thing is, I noticed Forbidden the way she even traced the tennis shoe shape. She didn't just go ahead and trace the line of the wrestling boot that the mold is, but she also tried to make it look like the athletic shoe that he's wearing, and that's definitely noticed. So can't put over Forbidden Figurines enough. 48.5 for me. Just that likeness was missing, but that still doesn't take away from the flawlessness of it for me, if that makes sense.
All right, I'll sum up everything I have to say with ditto. No, seriously, this is an absolutely gorgeous piece of art, and I really think it's a piece of art. The details she put in there, everything that you said, the amount of work that went in here, the most perfect jacket, I think, of the 3.
Flawless jacket. Oh, yeah.
Flawless
well,
jacket.
There was one thing too. Pat, just wait. If I could, I really don't want to interrupt you at all. But actually, now that you're speaking of it, there was one thing that I did have an issue with that I thought I had noticed, was that some of these dots were misaligned with the gems, and that could definitely be a timing issue. And it still looks great overall. That's obviously nitpicky stuff, but that was one thing when I was looking into it. Because you'll see BW's coat, for me at least, I'll point out that it has a tear, and that does bug me. But just wanted to say this while you were covering it. It was definitely I see a lot of these dots that were drawn on. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but that was pretty good. That were drawn on versus the studs that were painted on. Pat, take it away. Sorry.
That is a very good point, and you are a madman in your genius, apparently, where even accidents turn out perfect. So, I think it was a really great jacket. A lot of time, a lot of effort.
It's
like
still
I
my
said,
favorite one.
Yeah, overall, I would have to agree. And like I said, I'm so impressed with being able to transfer the knowledge of dolls and all that and bring it into the action figure world. I think that definitely gives her an advantage. My one point was similar to yours, which was the head is slightly off. And I think we're so used to Forbidden Figurines nailing it out of the park
Yeah.
that when it's slightly off, it feels a little bit greater because of the fact that she does always practically nail it out of the park.
And
So,
it's tough too, because like she can't really share the work in progress. I mean, she could, but you risk it as an artist. You know what I mean? Like if you're really all in, and people, the internet, the mob, and they could be wrong as well. We could be wrong. We could very well be wrong. But
we're not perfect.
You know what
We're
I mean?
human.
Like, there's that chance with the feedback. I know that, I've posted some hits that I thought were incredible, and the Owen Hart head, like my early sculpts before even my finished one. Like, I know a lot of it was like, oh, who is this? And, you hear things like that. So it's just
And there are always trolls.
It's
that,
a familiar.
even if it is good, they're going to say it's not good
True.
because they're jealous
True.
or they're just on there to cause trouble, chaos, whatever. So,
True, and there's also an unfamiliarity with parts when you're getting used to it, and that's kind of what I chalked the torso choice up to, because like when I was first getting familiar with the elite scale, like I used like a Triple H torso for a Raven, and Raven's my favorite, but he kind of always was a thicker guy, so a Triple H torso made no sense. But because I wasn't as familiar with the parts, that's what I was going along with. So that's kind of what I might have chopped it up as well. But go ahead, Pat.
Also, in these times, as you mentioned, that we have a pandemic going on, it might be harder to get parts too. So
absolutely,
you have to maybe use what you have available. But I thought it was a really great job done. Just the head and the torso a little bit, but I gave it a 48.5.
It's really amazing. Her coat.
It really, really is.
Her jacket's amazing.
Showstopper gave her a 49, and he said the only con was the head choice. Otherwise, a perfect build.
It really is. Look at that angle. It's like,
yeah,
damn. Like, just.
I mean, you can only imagine the hours that went into this. And
Forbidden should be super proud. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I was smiling just looking at the figure here with that picture from the smoke, man. This is a kind of figure that inspires other artists, you know what I mean? Like all of these figures, Turbos, BWs, Forbiddens, and even the amateurs inspire me from looking back on where I used to be at. So that leads us to the last entry here, which is BW Finals Pro. Here we go. This is BW Bew, as the kids say. I've never said that, but everyone says that. I'd probably say it wrong, but I'm like BEW. But his Will Ospreay really, man, bringing Forbidden Figurines to a run for her money in terms of the jacket preparation, and line work as clean as Turbo's too as well. Like, damn, it's just, man, this
look at that shoulder piece. I mean, wow.
Yeah, just wow. You want to go ahead and discuss your guys' scores first?
I just want to say all three of them should win, but it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, shit.
I thought for BW, he had the best head scan of all the amateurs and
like
pros.
That picture there. Like, boom, that angle.
So that was definitely a plus. I gave him a 49.5, and uh, Showstopper gave him a 50, and Showstopper said also a perfect build that was accented by the best head scan of all 6, including the amateurs, which is just what I said. So
Yeah, an amazing figure.
that
I'll go
jacket,
with
wow.
the NWF sit here was
On BEW, he's been bringing it all the whole entire tournament, and you see the figures he puts out. He just does amazing work. I mean, especially with heads and things, he's got that touch, I guess, that gift that he just can nail likenesses.
yeah. Well, and like there's a story there too with BW as well. Like, I've worked closely with them a lot too, and when we were dealing with an earlier Jungle Boy like incarnation, I think he posted his sculpt. I can't remember if it was Jungle Boy or Margo. I think it was Jungle Boy. I posted it, and or maybe it was Leo. Maybe it was one of the early ones of Leo, and like people were like, well, I thought it was, he asked me, I was like, man, you sculpted that from scratch. I can definitely see the resemblance. Like, I thought it looked great. And people were like, oh, like that looks messed up. Like, kind of because it was you start from scratch to try to nail something. So where I'm going with that is there's not only does that happen to every one of us, where you miss where you thought you were going, but there's also time and a place to sculpt from scratch and to modify an existing one. And and that depends personal views either. There's no gospel here, but I've always been very vocal in my view of it being a whatever is the best results orientated. That said,
Exactly.
obviously, this contest when you're dealing with the best of the best in the world, like we are right here in this matchup, you're dealing with a lot of flex factors. You're going to take extra lengths to sculpt stuff, and those risks can either pay off for you or they can be a factor that harms you. That being said, BW, I really had it. I had zero point 0.5 loss for overall presentation and 0.5 loss on workmanship. And obviously, I'm being super strict here. I gave him a total of 49. The only things that I had off were kind of the way this seaming here was. But that being said, I love the fabric he used. I don't know if he
That
painted
was
that
great.
or I don't even know if
And what we said all throughout the tournament is you have a limited amount of time. You have to decide where you're going to spend that time.
True.
You can't just like spend all the time on the head and then throw together a body. I mean, you have to, the lower torso, the tights, the boots. You got to work on that. You got to work on the head. Then you got to put together a coat because this is the finals. You don't have a coat, you're not going to win it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how strict it is. So
And
it's
and
optional, but it's not.
you're right. And for me, the other thing was the torso. Like we said, there's not a perfect torso, but I thought that the Daniel Bryan, the too slim torso was too on the smaller slide. On the smaller slide, why am I adding an S? On the smaller side for Ospreay at this point in his career. That being said, it's really tough because when you're looking at this and you're looking at Turbo and you're looking at BWs and you're looking at Forbiddens, I was a fan of Forbidden's paintwork on her shoes more. I was a fan of Forbidden's cleanliness on the tights more and the paint and the purple. That being said, BW's paintwork is there as well. The colors are a little bit different and the line work is a little bit sloppier for me than Forbidden's. And then the torso, though, you got the shading there, as she did as well. But you see the wrist tape as well, which both of them had, and that was really tough. And neck and neck. And if you give Forbidden the jacket like I did as well, it really came down to the head. And the head for Ospreay for me,
I really like Forbidden's purple too.
yeah.
I didn't know that was custom, but I noticed that right away. I'm like, oh, it's a little bit different. I like that.
Oh, as a fellow paint Jedi, I can appreciate, and that girl's got so much talent for colors. It's amazing to see the colors that she mixes up, and it really is a skill matching pigments and some crazy shit. Like if you're painting some crazy stuff, there's a lot of paints that are little secret weapons. But the head for BW, that was so spot on for me. This hit is amazing. Hopefully we could bring it to Figure Giant. I'm sure we are with Killer Cross and stuff too, but just an amazing likeness, and that really ended up being the more factor that ended up giving for me BEW the victory because uh, it just looks more like Osprey. I think or
But it
Forbidden.
is super close. Both of them are, really great figures, and both of them will look good in anyone's collection. It's super, super
Super
close. But
close.
yeah,
So I'll go ahead and say I totally got off base here, but I'll say what NWF said. NWF ended up getting BW of 49.5. Presentation, as always, is excellent. Photo illustrates all areas of the figure, and the black background allows complete focus on the custom itself. The hit scan is a triumph, an excellent likeness. The painted detail is as meticulous as it is vibrant. The attention to detail within the design work on the tights is really something. The jacket looks great. The light gray design work is a much appreciated representation of the real thing. The one noticeable fault with the jacket is that the logo from the center of the back is missing. Being nitpicky, I believe that Osprey requires either a Mizdow style torso or a Cody Rhodes early Cesaro Elite style torso as opposed to the one used. Although the torso shading is excellent and is a technique that Brian uses to great effect. So 49.5 from the
the
NWF.
detail about how he puts in the beard and the
Yeah.
side of the head like that—that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, and what Rock Gibroni will say here too, excellence or echoes a lot. He says 49.5, excellent face modifications to the one of the hardest guys to get right. Best hit overall. Wish the hair was a tad less flat. Appreciate the little details that could have easily been overlooked. The grid pattern on the black diamonds. The designs on the white part of the entrance coat. The braided part of the hair. Missing the logo part on the back of the coat. Though understandable, the junior heavyweight belt would have been a nice addition to complete the package. 49.5 from Rocket Roney for BEW. Amazing. I mean, I don't know what else we can say there. That was a close one. BEW ends up taking it for the professionals.
Congratulations to everybody. Let's give them
Yeah.
a round of applause.
Amazing.
Everyone
Should be proud.
Great job, BEW. Great job, Forbidden Figurines. Great job, Turbo. And congratulations to BEW, or as the people in the game chats call them, pew, pew, pew.
And so with that being said, there's going to be prize packages. I'll be making a post with the rest of the stuff here. You can tell I'm yawning. I'm going to try to maybe edit this in the morning instead. But either way, I'm really happy of everyone. I'm really proud
I
of
want to
this
say
season.
thank you to everyone who participated, whether you're in the first round or you made it to the final rounds. Thank you for being part of our tournament. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in and watched every week and followed along and sent encouragement or gave us a like or whatever. We appreciate you. Obviously, that's part of the reason we do this, is to provide entertainment for everyone, especially during the times that we have like now. And some amazing customizers joined our tournament, and thank you to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I echo everything you said. Thank you for showing up, everyone. You know, you made this a very challenging tournament to judge, a very challenging tournament in general. You know,
And when some of you had to step out, you let us know in enough time that we could actually do something about it. We appreciate that too.
absolutely.
At future seasons, if you do have to step out for any reason, let us know sooner than later so we can make our magic happen.
Yeah, I mean, and so, you know, hopefully you guys all
Life happens.
respect each other, love each other after this. Hopefully, you know, we didn't make too many enemies. Hopefully a lot of you guys seen a lot of new followers, a lot of new fellow artists. And hopefully
I know I follow a lot of people.
No, same
that
here.
I'm supposed to now, and I'm big fans of theirs, and I'm going to continue to follow their work, and hopefully they'll all be back if we do another season. So one last thing, because this is the Custom Underground, we always have one more thing, one more surprise. This is a good thing. We just want to thank the NWF and Rocket Jabroni for coming aboard and being judges this season. It's helped us out tremendously. I absolutely loved the creative sessions where people saw this, people saw that. Someone had an opinion here, someone had an opinion there, and we're just all talking and getting the juices flowing, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Showstopper Customs, as always, for being a judge. Your ideas are always amazing, and a lot of them make it onto the show. like the Showstoppers Challenge, and other things that the group has come up with. So thank you all very much.
Yeah, I mean, really, just to echo what you said. This was the most competitive season we've ever had, and prior going to this, I was definitely campaigning for like season 1 and season 2 champions, Rocket Jabroni and NWF, to join us, just to help handle some of that pressure, distribute some of that load amongst 5 of us, a panel of sorts. And as you can tell, all of you guys that finished this Custom Underground, I'll say this. First of all, if you made it to the finals, congrats. If you didn't, nonetheless. But those 2 knew what it took to go ahead and succeed to the end. How many customs they had to make in such short deadlines. And that's why they didn't want to do it again. And so, you've probably seen the BEW never do it again. Either.
I think they do want to do it again. I think that things prevented it, but
I think they'll never want to do one ever again, and my money is on BEW never wanting to do one again. That being said, we will drop one little teaser here. We've been working on just a little something, a big invitational, a big event, not a multi-week thing, like a big event, like a pay-per-view for Custom Underground, open to much more than a few people. We like the idea of taking 20 people making the same figure and eliminating it down to see which one is the best for certain, fun times. So we'll see.
I will tell you that we have all sorts of ideas going on in here. We've discussed many, many things, and so there will be very exciting things to come in the near future.
Again,
we appreciate
let
all
us
of
know
you.
What you want. Mad Reaper.
Hit likes, subscribe, tell us what you want, suggestions, ideas, what we did well, what we might improve on, and thank you. Good night.
Real chosen
and
one.
See you soon.
All right, see you guys.
Custom Underground.